Does this mean we're getting sacked?
No one is getting sacked, Nan.
At least not yet, we aren't.
I hovered outside the servants' hall, feeling again like some sort of accidental snoop. After the argument between the Valgreave siblings, I went downstairs to find Perry and make a cup of tea to steady my nerves. Instead, I almost intruded on the staff's debate over the ramifications of Mr. Dara's offer. If he and Josephine had hoped to keep the sale of Clawmoor Heights a secret, it wasn't one anymore.
We need to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. Whatever way this goes, we have to stick together.
Mrs. Bryant was a middle-aged woman with dark hair graying around the temples. She was Clawmoor's newest housekeeper, having recently accepted the contract after escaping the terror of gloaming. She leaned against an open window, watching the nighttime rain as she nervously smoked her pipe.
If I learned anything in my time at Scarlet Grange, it was that we need to look out for each other.
Oh, I heard about that. They say all the true folk who worked there died, that the Bellefiends just left them there with nowhere to go.
It's true, the Bellefiends abandoned the estate, but the true folk got themselves killed. The family was only partly responsible.
I think you're giving that family too much credit.
Well, let me start by saying gloaming is no place anyone wants to be. So I can't really fault the Bellefiends for letting the estate go. Before they left, they gave us each a few marks and a letter of recommendation and told us we could stay in the manor as long as we needed. Those who had family or contracts elsewhere left at the same time as them, but the rest of us, well, we were on our own.
Studio Hermitage presents Clawmoor Heights, an Our Brilliant Ruin story, created by Rachel J. Wilkinson.
You don't need to talk about it if you don't want to, Mrs. Bryant.
I appreciate that, Mr. Crispin, but I think the story is an important one to tell. With the Bellefiends gone, we had the run of the estate, and with the fortifications holding, we were safe. After a few nights, however, some true folk indulged in aristocratic make-believe. They took over empty bedrooms, danced in the ballroom, held tea parties in the parlor. It felt distasteful to do, while the rest of us kept to our duties, not just for the house, mind you, but for each other. Then one day, we noticed much of the food was going bad. We knew we needed to eat it lest it go to waste. Well, the butler, Lily Silva, who had taken to flitting through the house in a blue silk gown, decided we'd have a dinner where the working true folk would serve the others.
You mean you'd have to treat them like aristos?
They found some trunks the family must have left behind in their rush to leave. Some had silver plates, cutlery, and other odds and ends.
And no one said anything?
Lily Silva was a master-ranked butler. We figured it was better to go along for a night rather than risk causing ourselves trouble in the guild.
She's lucky I wasn't cooking for her and her troop of ne'er-do-wells.
They were drunk on vanity and blind to consequence.
Not all masters are worthy of the rank.
Well, that night, a storm blew in. Howling winds thrashed the trees and knocked out the electricity. But Lily insisted we continue with dinner, so we set up some rusted candelabras we found in storage. The flickering candlelight hollowed out their cheeks and eyes and turned their mismatched finery into something ghastly as they cackled over rotting fruit. Well, as soon as the dessert course was over, us servants cleared and tidied and went to bed, wanting nothing to do with their charade. But I'll tell you, my head wasn't on my pillow a minute before I heard the screams. Lady Oliver had found them.
No.
Yes, ma'am. She'd heard them carrying on while on one of her nighttime rides, and she ripped through the room, slaking her thirst on their blood. We true folk who had kept our wits grabbed what we could to escape. Once the screams fell silent, we quietly raced along a secret passage out of the manor. The problem was that the passage shared a wall with the dining room. We watched her through a spy hole hunched over Lily Silva's body, slurping at the blood pooling around the corpse. None of us moved. None of us breathed. It didn't matter. She could hear the pounding of our terrified hearts. Her head snapped up. We froze. Then, ever so slowly, she canted her head to the side in this grotesque, unnatural way. Blood dripping from her mouth. That's when we screamed. She threw herself at us, breaking through the wall. We ran, but the passage was so narrow we could only run as fast as the person in front of us. And she started clawing and eating her way up the line. It was madness. Perfect madness. I can still hear their horrified cries, begging us not to leave.
And you were the only one to make it out?
3 of us did, in the end. And the most tragic part was how avoidable it might have been.
No one could have avoided Lady Oliver.
What attracted her attention to the estate in the first place? How did she slip through our barricades?
No one was manning the wall.
That's part of it, no doubt. Live like an aristocrat, die like one. If we had stuck together and worked as a team, we could have sold what we found to buy gondola or tram tickets out of gloaming for everyone. On my honor, I believe it. But we were so...
At odds with one another.
Just that, Mr. Crispin.
Which is why I say we must put our trust in the Valgreaves. They won't abandon us.
I can't say for certain if they would or not. But at least the Dars would have a car in working order.
Hallen was the Valgreaves' driver. She'd come in from the outside, covered in grime up to her elbows.
Is the automobile repair being troublesome?
Byron wants it sorted by the morning. And at this rate, I'm not gonna get a wink of sleep. And all I'm saying is we wouldn't be in this mess if we were working for Doris.
You might be in a different mess.
Could be true, Cook. Could be true. Though, I hear the Doris throw some wild parties. Real riots. The mess might be worth it if you know what I mean.
Like you know anything about it. When have you ever made it past the driveway?
You'd be surprised, my pepper sweet. Point is, Winteristow is like any other. Are they paying my wage? Giving me a place to sleep? Keeping me safe from ruin?
Whatever happens, I'm sticking with Mrs. Bryant.
Hey, but book lady, you get all that?
I'm so sorry. I didn't want to intrude.
Miss Quinn, my apologies. We didn't see you.
No, please, don't get up. The fault is mine. I'm looking for Perry, hoping I could trouble him for a cup of tea.
I believe Mr. Perry is out the back, through that door there.
I'll fetch you some tea.
That's very kind of you, Mrs. Bryant. Thank you.
You can't let them get to you. It's not worth your peace.
I know. They just have a way of making me feel...
Insignificant?
Agatha, how was your first day? Care for a smoke?
Only if Lord Lucas doesn't object?
Your company is one pleasure I'd happily do without.
I can't tell if you're being funny or serious.
Serious as ruin. If she gets Josephine to agree, it'll be the end of me.
Come on, she's just doing her job.
Thankfully, she's not very good at it.
I'm standing right here.
Like I care. You need to pack up your bags and leave while you still have some dignity.
This isn't her fault.
You've always been a sucker, Perry. I've seen better scheming from parlor maids.
And I've stumbled on rocks with more cutting wit.
Then it's a good thing I have money and a mother who loves me. One word to her, and that will be the end of you.
Your mother?
So, I'm going to take the blame for this terrible idea and step back inside. Agatha, maybe you should come with me, maybe?
If you think that's best.
Definitely for the best, Perry. I don't have the attention span to take the poor seriously.
Unbelievable.
Excellent speech.
Time to go.
Off with you.
Yep.
Bye-bye now.
Pleasant evening to you, sir.
You're going to let him talk to you that way?
I am Miss Quinn.
But
Nope, now is not the time.
I'm sorry, if I just...
Mrs. Bryant. What can I do to help?
Oh, I was just pouring a cup of tea for Miss Quinn.
Pardon, Master Gates. Excuse me, sir.
Yes, apprentice.
We've run out of wax cylinders. We need someone to fetch another box. It shouldn't be more than a bit.
It's getting late in the day. Let's close and break until tomorrow. The doors, if you would, please. We'll reconvene tomorrow morning. Apprentice Novak.
Yes, sir.
Please escort Master Rossi and fellow Quinn to their guest chambers in the residential wing.
Right this way, please.
Bear with me one moment, apprentice. What is really going on here, Bertram?
Perhaps you should direct that question to your fellow.
I'm directing it to you. If this is about getting back at me, there are less messy ways.
But don't let your paranoia cloud your good sense.
What would you know about good sense?
Says the man whose name graces the Dorcha's ledgers. Gambling debts. Really?
Debts can be cleared. Your deficit of character, less so.
20 years, and nothing has changed.
It is about me, then.
That's your first problem. You think everything is about you. The second is you can't see the forest for the trees. Your institute is hanging on by a thread, and you're letting a single fellow end your career.
What sort of provost would I be if I didn't stand by each guild member at the Rossi Institute? My protege, for that matter.
The difference between you and me is that you've never had to balance the interest of your entire institute against those of one scholar. Personal connection or not, I believe you'll face that dilemma soon.
Just tell me, is someone forcing your hand?
We have a credible complaint, and I will see it through. Apprentice Novak, show them out.
Certainly. This way, please, if you'd be so kind.
Bertram Gates is an unbearable snob.
We're going to be here a while, Vivian. You can't let him get to you like this.
And why is that, Agatha? Why are we going to be here a while? What are you keeping from me?
If I embarrassed you today...
I'm not embarrassed. I'm concerned.
Will you please sit?
Not until you give me some answers. I deserve an explanation. I need to know what you've dragged me and your colleagues into.
I haven't meant to drag you into anything. There's been a misunderstanding.
So tell me what that is.
I can't.
You won't. Did you request the Clawmoor contract because of your father?
No, not entirely. My interest in royal estates did start with my parents, and Clawmoor Heights was a natural choice because of my father. But my studies took me well beyond personal curiosity.
Why didn't you say anything to me about him?
Why didn't you tell me about the Dorcha?
Because that's my burden to bear.
And my father is mine.
I'm not proud of what I've done. My luck ran out.
You don't have to explain.
The Baron should have never threatened you with the Institute. Never put you in that position.
He was desperate. I didn't feel like I had a choice.
You didn't?
Are you angry with me?
Of course not. Why would I be angry?
Why wouldn't you be? I told everyone your secret.
It's a relief. At least this way I can be honest about the Institute.
Have you lost it?
Not yet.
What can I do?
Tell me what happened at Clawmoor, so we can get through whatever this is with your reputation intact. Bertram may claim I'm paranoid, but he spoke of a credible complaint. Come in.
Pardon the interruption. Master Gates asked me to bring you dinner.
That's unnecessary, Apprentice Novak. We could have joined everyone else in the hall.
I suspect this was his preference. What reason did he give you, Umi?
That you would benefit from privacy.
And?
Master Rossi, I can't speak to the Vice-Chancellor's mind.
And?
Please don't put me in a position where I either have to lie to a master or betray one.
Set it on the credenza by the fireplace. I'll take it from here. And please pass along our thanks for his thoughtful gesture.
Someone will be by with breakfast in the morning. If you need anything, that blue cord rings the staff.
Thank you.
Good night.
Can I fix you a plate?
How can you eat at a time like this?
I'm hungry and it smells delicious. It's a curry with ginger, coriander, and lemongrass. How did they find lemongrass?
Probably grew it themselves.
Are you sure I can't tempt you?
Maybe I'll have a little. Being here has me ill at ease. He claims there is a credible complaint. He doesn't want us leaving our rooms. The way he's conducting this inquiry, it's so theatric. You aren't the first person the Guild has looked into for experiments in ruinology. This drama isn't typical. It feels like he's putting on a very serious show.
Maybe he is?
But who is the show for?
The Dowager Baroness?
She was in the theater. Be honest with me. Were you experimenting with ruin at the Clawmoor estate? Did you put the Valgreaves in danger?
I swear to you, I didn't put anyone in danger.
That's not a no.
It's more complicated than that. After I had my run-in with Lucas, I saw something. Hallen needed Perry's help with the car repair. So, after Mrs. Bryan handed me my tea, I retreated to my room's solitude. My frayed patience had left me ill-suited for company. While I couldn't say the bedroom was cozy, it was well appointed with a chaise and bed, a vanity, a writing desk, and a fireplace surrounded by carved granite. From my window, I watched the intensifying storm pummel the surface of the reflecting pool below. I closed my eyes and imagined myself as a royal Montballon lying dead on the bottom, listening to the rain come down in heavy sheets. My thoughts drifted to that primal terror that comes from needing a breath, the ache in your lungs, the burning in your veins. And I wondered if they'd spent these years trapped in that desperate sensation, hungering for air. Then I heard a light scraping, different from the rain, as if the surface of the water above me was made of glass. In my mind's eye, I could see my lifeless arm floating, bobbing with the ripples. My fingernails knocked and scraped against the pane. I realized I was trapped, and once again that need for a breath washed over me. Only this time it wasn't imagined. I couldn't breathe. My chest kept tightening and tightening, and when my lungs could bear it no longer, I forced my eyes open. All I saw was the fire's reflection in the window, and I exhaled. I wanted to know what was making the sound, thinking it might have been a tree limb against the window. So I leaned closer, cupping my hand at my forehead and pressed it against the glass to peer into the darkness. A woman's face flashed in front of me. It was as if this woman with wild hair and crying eyes was trapped in the pane. She was inside the glass like a reflection with no source. Then another bolt of lightning ripped across the sky. And suddenly, she was in the courtyard at the water's edge. She was utterly still, even as the winds whipped around her. Her right arm outstretched, she pointed to an older part of the house, the east wing. When the next thunderclap faded, so did she. I felt like she wanted me to see something, and I was overcome with curiosity, driven by it even.
And so you left your room?
And so I left my room.
Of course you did.
I couldn't not. With an oil lantern to light my way, I slipped out of my second-floor bedroom. I followed the hallway to the stairs and hurried quietly down them to the main floor, hoping no one would see me. I crept along a passage that opened into a long gallery, where on one side it was entirely windows, and on the other, Valgrieve family portraits hung above a series of doors. I heard that scraping noise again coming from the far end of the gallery. Taking a step forward, I lifted my lantern, but its dim amber light couldn't reach the opposite side. As I inched closer, a pair of closed pocket doors came into view. They were at least 9 feet tall, with an ebony finish and aged brass door plates. Intricate scroll work and a slight patina covered the plates. In the center of each, there was a large keyhole. Looking closer, I saw a key in the right-hand plate. It was old, tarnished, and about the size of my palm. Hello? Is anyone there? I had the immediate sense that these doors held a secret behind them. My hand trembled as I reached for the key. Hello?
Miss Quinn!
Lord Stellan,
What exactly do you think you're doing?
Forgive me, your lordship. I wasn't...
Give me one reason I shouldn't turn you out of this house this very instant!
Clawmoor Heights stars Kate Siegel, Indira Varma, Byron Mann, Shannon Uphold, Jay Sullivan, Sean Patrick Judge, and Jovan Jackson. Written and directed by Rachel J. Wilkinson. Original music composition by Brian Michael Fuller. Recorded by Mark Zamora. Sound design by Kay Wilder and Rachel J. Wilkinson. Mix and mastering by Brian Michael Fuller. Clawmoor Heights is a Studio Hermitage production. Visit us at ourbrilliantruin.com.